fellow music fans. Welcome back to Psychology of Rock. If you're new here, my name's Nina, and today we're going to be doing a lyrical and philosophical deep dive into the song Losing It by Rush, which appears on their 9th studio recording called Signals, which was released in September of 1982. Calling this album a masterpiece is an understatement, and the song we're talking about today is one that affects many of us on almost a visceral level. The lyrics of Neil Peart in general are just incomparable, but this particular song is just so poignant and strikingly real in the most artistic and thought-provoking way possible. And I feel like it really stands apart from the rest of Rush's catalog and that it features some of Neil's most profound writing. So in this video, I wanted to offer my thoughts on these lyrics as well as their psychological implications because I really feel like it's a work of art that is worthy of further dissection and appreciation. As always, please keep in mind that this is just my own personal analysis. I'm in no way attempting to speak for the band, and as with any piece of art, there can be multiple valid meanings and interpretations, including whatever the song means to us personally. So with all of that being said, let's dive into Losing It. Now, Neil directly mentioned the literary inspirations for the song in his book Far and Wide. So we know going into this that the lyrics are at least loosely based on Ernest Hemingway, which is the writer that he describes in the second verse, which we'll talk about in a moment. The song seems to reference two of his works specifically, the first being The Sun Also Rises, and the second one being For Whom the Bell Tolls. In fact, he directly quotes the opening paragraph from the novel in the final line of the song. And yes, there is also a poem of the same name, which Hemingway actually incorporated into his own book's narrative, but Neil specifically mentioned Hemingway as being the immediate inspiration, which makes perfect sense because both the song and the works of Hemingway are centered on the theme of loss and feature characters that are confronted with the limitations that are imposed by age or decline. I also want to note here that Neil specifically referred to the song right before he retired. He said that the bell tolled for him. In addition, Neil mentioned in the book Merely Players that the song was also inspired by the movie The Turning Point, which was a story about two ballet dancers, one that kept going and was becoming a has-been, and another that gave it up to get married and have a family. Neil felt that it was heart-wrenching to think about someone spending their whole life learning how to do something and then for whatever reason no longer being able to do it anymore. He said it made him contemplate whether it was worse to lose something great or to never have known it. It makes me also wonder if he was also contemplating how he himself would feel if such a thing happened to him at some point. I also think it's noteworthy that the band played this song live in their last few shows, including their final show ever, even though they had never really done that before. I think it shows that the song really did have a lot of personal significance for him. So let's go ahead and go through the lyrics and take a deeper look at what he may have been trying to say. It begins with the lines, "The dancer slows her frantic pace in pain and desperation, her aching limbs and downcast face aglow with perspiration. Stiff as wire, her lungs on fire with just the briefest pause, the flooding through her memory, the echoes of old applause. She limps across the floor and closes the bedroom door." I think these words really suggest that she's clearly struggling to maintain her former level of performance, which as a former professional dancer myself, I can totally understand. I think the most heartbreaking line is when Neil talks about the echoes of old applause, like she's reflecting on her past accomplishments and desperately wanting to recapture that, even though she is no longer physically able to dance in the way that she once did. He describes her as limping across the floor and just locking herself in her bedroom because she can't take the emotional pain that this realization is triggering. Then Neil shifts to the next verse, which centers on a writer, but we still see the same theme of an artist being haunted by their past accomplishments and struggling to come to terms with their current limitations. He says the writer stares with glassy eyes, defies the empty page. His beard is white, his face is lined and streaked with tears of rage. 30 years ago, how the words would flow with passion and precision. But now his mind is dark and dulled by sickness and indecision, and he stares out the kitchen door where the sun will rise no more. So Neil's basically describing this old writer who was longing for the past when he was inspired and the words would come to him easily, because now he is declining both mentally and physically. I think the last line here may be a foreshadowing of the character's mortality, implying that he believes not only is his creative spark extinguished, but also the quality of his life. But then he transitions to a new section, which has my favorite lines. He says, "Some are born to move the world, to live their fantasies, but most of us just dream about the things we'd like to be." After reading Geddy's book this year, I think these lines may be kind of autobiographical for Neil, because I think the whole band really is so deeply appreciative that they were able to move the world with their music and live their fantasies, and they realize how rare that can be. I think these lines are an acknowledgement that while some people are born with a special talent or a drive that allows them to achieve incredible dreams, the majority of people end up living much more modest lives and will never know what that really feels like. But I think it's the final lines of the song that really hit the hardest and reinforce the overall theme. He says, "Sadder to watch it die than never to have known it. For you, the blind who could once see, the bell tolls for thee." Here he directly says what the earlier verses were hinting at, that it's more painful to lose something once you've had it than to have never experienced it at all. And that final line is just so gut-wrenching. He, of course, is echoing the lines of Hemingway, but also suggesting that this outcome is inevitable for extraordinary people, that eventually there will come a time when they feel like their best days are behind them. He's saying that the pain of loss is really compounded by the fact that they once created or experienced these really incredible things, and now they're just watching it all fade away. The fact that Neil used this quote to describe his own situation before he retired makes all of this even more emotional and personal, especially given his exceptional talent in so many areas. I don't think he wanted his fans to ever feel like he was declining, which I think was a huge part of why he decided to keep his sickness a secret. I also tend to think that the song hints at something even broader, that the loss of things that are precious to us is a universal experience that affects all of us. I think the bell that tolls for the characters in both the song and the novel is a metaphor for the inevitability of death and the passage of time. And that's why I think the song hits home for so many of us. I think it taps into our shared emotions. Overall, is just such an incredibly powerful song, both lyrically and musically. The violin just pushes it to another level emotionally, and the words definitely make me miss the professor. But like all of us, I'm just thankful to have found Rush's music. So those are my thoughts on Losing It, but I would love to hear yours, so leave them down below. If you enjoyed today's analysis, don't forget to like and subscribe. Please let me know what song you'd like me to analyze next, and I will see you in the next video.